Peace and blessings, and
Peace and
thanks for
blessings.
stopping by Stindy Farms. Today's video is going to be a little different. This video is not going to be for likes and clicks.
This is a conversation, more of a dialogue. We're really just trying to share what our knowledge and our experiences, and our perspectives of what's going on in our world, and hope that you will join in the conversation and share your own experiences as well, so that we can kind of move forward from there, and maybe as a collective we can all get to a higher place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess there's so many things going on. We can look at things on the cultural level and what's going on in our society right now, but as individuals, we have to look at our own health and happiness, and there's so many things that affect that. From what we have going on with the food industry, which is really, everything is about profit now. There's very little out there that is about our own health. We've got pharmaceutical industry, which is built by the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, as really just a way to sell products which were really manufactured as byproducts of the oil that they were making, and they didn't want to throw all the stuff away. They made drugs. Sure, there were some benefits from them, but they really did push this on society, which ended up causing this shift in doctors that were actually about different forms of wellness to be just pushing pharmaceuticals if they chose to stay in business, which then spawned hospitals, which did the same thing, and an insurance industry that really feeds off of that. Again, it's all about profit. It's not about health. So it's not about happiness. We are the number one user. Our country, the U.S., is the number one user of antidepressants. That's because society is pushing it, because we live too hard to try and survive. At a very basic level, it's really survival. We have this fight or flight mode that we're all in, just to try and survive on a daily basis, without staying at jobs you don't like, paying bills that you don't want. It's like all of these different things just to stay alive. On the happiness scale, the U.S. ranks 24th, I believe. And you would think that we would be much higher with all of this is supposed to be this land of dreams. We should be much higher on that scale. In terms of health, we are like number 48th in the world, even though we have the greatest, or I believe it's the second best technological advancements in medicine and technology. We have like the second best in the world, yet we are 48th in health and mortality. We're still so low because everything is still driven by profits and money. It's not driven by health and happiness. So it's really just going to be a constant battle for us as individuals to see what we need, so that we can be better people and better and either bring more into our own lives or into the lives of our surrounded, to our loved ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a great mass movement of people that are moving out of this matrix, so to speak, into a more natural world, where we want to take our health into our own hands, take our happiness into our own hands, take our well-being, our mental well-being, our physical well-being, our spiritual well-being, and connect more to the planet. And I think that that's what we're doing. We do it on a daily basis because we live in the woods. So it's more easier for us. But I think a lot of us are feeling that urge and that momentum to connect back to nature. And whatever way it is, whether it's taking off our shoes and grounding ourselves and really connecting to the electromagnetic energy of the planet. My mom used to always tell us when we were little to watch the animals, You know what I mean? Like if there was a storm or there was something going on, she say, pay attention to the birds, pay attention to the animals. They will tell you what's happening. But I think in this day and age, we are connecting ourselves back to the planet. So there's something that's happening telepathically that we are being informed, you know, from just that connection to the planet of what's happening. You know, just like the animals know when there's, you know, bad weather coming, we're being connected to that same communication. You know,
Yeah.
and it's telling me personally, I can only speak for myself, that things are going to get worse, you know, but it's all a part of the earth balancing itself. You know, it's like a sore, you know, that all of that pus, all of that impurity has to come to the surface so that it can be washed away. You know, so better times are coming, but right now we're in a period of cleanse, you know. And as the earth is cleansing itself and these things are being brought to the surface, we're even cleansing.
Right, we're part of that.
We're a part of that. You know what I mean? The earth is heating up, you know, and I'm finding in my own self, I could take 50 million showers and it doesn't matter. I'm still, you know, sweating a lot. I'm still, those impurities are coming out of my system. And I have to allow for that.
Yeah, yeah. I think, you know, you look at what's happening, you know, both in our society and what's happening on the planet with, you know, it's obvious, call it what you want, but it's like we are definitely seeing different climates in different places. You know, you see it in society where there are the same types of eruptions. You know, aside from like, you know, the tornadoes, floods, and everything else that's happening around, you know, our world, we're also seeing that same kind of, you could almost call it metaphorical, in society, you're seeing the same kind of floods and tidal waves in our culture. You know, it's we're being bombarded by things. There's catastrophes every day, either man-made or natural, that we're, you know, responding to, and it's really all about just the world is changing now. The earth is changing.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to, you know, us as individuals to work, you know, within ourselves to understand as much as we can about who we are, and to learn as much as we can about how to improve ourselves and our immediate surroundings, because at some point all of those surroundings will touch. If everyone does that, you know, that becomes community, and that becomes, you know, a healing of an entire, the community can become global at that point.
Absolutely. I agree with you. That's a very important point, that the healing is inward and then it goes out. So we heal ourselves first, and the healing starts, like you talked about, the happiness. You know, it starts with, you know, your inflections, like what is making you miserable as opposed to happy. You know, what is happiness for you?
Yeah.
And a lot of us are finding that the happiness doesn't come in, you know, driving the best car or having the biggest house or, you know, being so connected
We
to.
think that it is, but it's not.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Program.
It's the program, you know, that we're rejecting. It's the program that says, you know, in order to, you know, be satisfied, you know, you have to, you know, amass this wealth of money. What does that mean? And I think a lot of us are asking ourselves, what does that mean?
Yeah. I think that for those who are listening right now, they obviously have some awareness of why it's not a healthy place to spend all of your energy. Even if you came from, you know, you came from money or whatever, and you came from that false sense of materialistic ideals. It's I think that we're all learning that there are better ways to be. There's a limit to how much happiness you can get from these external things.
Yeah.
There was a study done years ago about happiness with money, and they said that from $0 to $1,000, you were happier than $1,000 to $1 million. Like if you could measure the amount of happiness, it was happiness, because 0 to 1,000 is a life changer. That's like, oh my God, like I can eat, I can have like a piece of bread, you know. But so, and that's like crying and dropping to your knees and really thanking, you know, God
gratitude.
or the universe or whatever for that. But after that, it's like it depreciates, because we're so used to having more, and it's like just more begets more. You know, you don't know any millionaires who decided to stop making money. You know, they always can feel like more billionaires, they still want more. So it is exponential depreciation. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying about it being that we just get to this place where we're not really trying anymore. We're programmed to think that these false things are what we need to stay happy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, you know, I mean, that's the mental, but then the physical that you talked about, you know, of, you know, just being like totally dependent on pills. At some point in your life, you know, being on 5, 10, 15, 20 different medications,
Yeah.
the quality of your life is diminishing, you know, and, you know, we're depending on a false system of wellness, you know, when the wellness is in the earth, the wellness is in the plant kingdom, the wellness is in connecting. So these are all symbiotic relationships. There's sickness within ourselves, there's sickness in our community, there's sickness in our country, and then there's sickness in the world. You know, so it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
And all of this pus and evil is coming to the surface, and it's going to be cleansed away.
Yeah.
You know, we have to trust and believe that it's going to be cleansed away. You know, it's not going to be like this forever.
Right. This is just a very small moment in the history of the world, of the history of the earth, that will pass. And to get to whatever's beyond this, we need to go through this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you look at it from, you know, a celestial point of view, or a bird's eye point of view, you can see that there are that we're going through stuff both in our society. We're going through stuff politically. We're going through stuff with you know, floods and earthquakes and volcanic action and tsunamis and all these different things that are all affecting us at the same time, and it's all connected.
Yes. It is all connected.
Yeah, so as we get through that, then we'll get to that better place.
Right.
You know, it's on the other side. But all of these things are symptoms of really what's happening.
It's the illness.
Right, it's the symptoms of the illness. It's not the illness.
Yeah, it's symptoms of the illness, but it's course correction on every level.
Yeah.
So the earth is correcting its course. We as beings are correcting our course.
Yep.
And every step up is correcting the course. So, you know, we correct our course within ourselves, like you talked about the happiness, you know, finding true happiness, finding true health, finding true, you know, connection to the world.
Yes.
You know, and then that kind of springs forth with everything else,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Also talking about different connections you know, with the ancestors
Yeah.
is one.
Mm-hmm.
And remember how you found that arrowhead in the backyard? That was recent too.
Yeah. Yeah. Found an arrowhead that was just lying on the ground, and it pretty much, it was almost gleaming. It was so white, and it almost called to me to pick it up. And who knows how long that was there?
Yeah.
It could have been 100 or 1,000 years.
Yeah.
But it was just a great find. It was nice to find that.
And a reminder.
Yeah.
That we're not alone.
Yeah.
You know, the ancestors are with us.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that point, it was so symbolic to me. You know, everything is coming to a point.
Yeah.
You know, so our relationship with them, our relationships with our families, right?
Absolutely.
You know, reaching out to the family and saying, you know, we can't get through this by ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we have a better chance of getting through this with our families.
Yes.
You know,
there was a study done years ago about well, it was basically about people on deathbed. And you know, there was somebody interviewed a bunch of different people from different walks, different, you know, financial classes, everything. But the one thing that they all had in common was that they all felt that they wish they had spent more time with loved ones in life. And so you can see, out of all of these different things that are happening, out of all of these different energies, it's like love and connectivity to others were more important than all of these other things that people may have amassed over their lifetimes. So you might look out and say, gee, all of that is mine, you know, all of that land, all of that yacht is mine. It doesn't mean a thing. You know, though you can take love with you when you go. That's all. You're not going to take the yacht with you.
That transcends.
You know?
That's
So,
deep. Wow.
You know, we are at a place where, you know, and I don't want to get too far into it, but it's like, I'm going to say we are more aware right now at this place in time of what's going on around us. We're paying more attention to what's going on in ourselves, mentally, spiritually, physically. We're watching what's going on and seeing how we can make adjustments to make them better.
Right. Course correction.
Course correction. And we do that because we are being aware.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it.
You know, if you're closed-minded and you choose not to look at these things, then you don't see them.
No.
And you know, there's a limit to what you can gain.
And then it's almost like going down with the ship.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like you know, if you're not aware of it, you know, it's almost like, you know, you're going down with this ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
And it's a lot, you know, it's a lot of power within ourselves. You know, we think sometimes that we're so powerless. You know, we're watching everything happening out here and we say, oh my goodness, you know, like, I'm just this little entity. But in reality, it starts with ourselves and with looking within. It's almost like there's no external leadership. You know what I mean? I don't mean it that we don't have leadership. I'm not saying it in that sense. I'm saying that the true leadership is within ourselves. You know what I mean? That's real. The truth really lies within ourselves.
Captain of your ship.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And that's where our power lies. Because if we look out here, it's designed to keep you small.
Right. It's a distraction.
It's a distraction. Exactly. The real show is within ourselves. And that's what we have to really focus on in this time. And that's really the challenge. Because all of this, you know, fireworks that are happening out here is really, like you said, it's designed for diversion.
Right.
It's designed to keep you in the matrix, so to speak.
Not focusing on what's important.
Right. Right. The real change comes from within, and so that's what we're looking at. You know, how do we change? How do we stay on the side of the planet, really? You know, how do we, you know, stay grounded?
I think, it might sound as if we're getting off topic from homesteading and living a more, a self-sufficient existence. But this is part of what keeps us, grounded. This is why you can't just root your vegetables; you got to root yourself as well.
Yeah.
And everything needs that connection to the earth, and we need to understand, at least be aware of what is true, and not what we're programmed to think.
Right.
And I don't want to get crazy and conspiratorial or anything, but it's like, we are kind of moved away from that at an early age. We are kind of like just pushed into this mindset of doing what society wants us to do so that we can feel what they have decided to call success.
Right.
And you can find a better life if you can get out of that box.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, it's all about connecting to yourself and figuring out what is happiness. What comes to mind is the Wizard of Oz. She goes through this whole journey, looking for what she already had.
Yeah.
Looking for what was really in her power to change.
Yeah.
And the entities that were so big and bad in her journey were really not big and bad at all.
Don't trust the good witch. Trust yourself.
Right.
You know that you have the answers within you already.
Yes. 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 That's what I mean about external leaders. You know what I mean? Not to say that they're not out there, but the true leader is inside. And so that's the journey. That's what we're all trying to find. And when we find it, then everything comes together.
Yeah.
Everything can be in love at that point. So we are interested in what you think, what your comments are.
Please share.
Yeah. And having said that, peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. Enjoy your day.